You've made it to Chirohustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. Before we dive into this powerful episode, please remember to subscribe to our channels and to give us a 5-star rating on iTunes and to continue hustling. This episode is sponsored by Imaging Services, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Moguls, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, New Patients in a Box, the Influencer Authority Podcast Training, Mango Voice, Community Healthcare Resources, Life Chiropractic College West. Let's hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 421 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. I am your producer, Luke Millette, and here's your host, James Chester.
So today we had the opportunity of interviewing Dr. Michelle Wendling. And if you want to learn about sharing a cohesive message of chiropractic and that we're all in this together, stay tuned. Welcome back. This is another episode of the Chiro Hustle podcast. Today we have Michelle Wendling here, Life West graduate. This is episode 421. I'm really excited about this interview today. She is the president of the Women's Chiropractic Organization, the WDC. And I look forward to talking a lot about how she's supporting that effort within the chiropractic profession, multiple efforts. But before we jump into this episode, I want to let you guys know the big why. Why do we do what we do? Well, we protect freedom of speech. I think that's essential in today's era. We also support and protect BJ Palmer's Sacred Trust. If you don't know what that is, go to your favorite search engine and look for BJ Palmer Sacred Trust. We also support subluxation-based chiropractic, another big word. If you guys don't know what that is, maybe do a quick search and find out what subluxation means. We don't need to tell you that, so go find it for your own. And then we do believe in innate intelligence and universal intelligence, and that when man or woman, the physical, get adjusted, it connects them to man or woman, the spiritual, and it sets them free. It removes the subluxation. And with that being said, Dr. Michelle Wendling, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you, James. It's so good to be here.
You know, I was really excited to meet you at Mile High, that event out here in Colorado. And after, talking to you just now, you're a Colorado native.
Yes, I am. I love Colorado. Our cornhole boards right outside here have Colorado flags on them and the whole bit.
Yeah. And, I think one of the things that we'll get into is what makes you unique. But before we get into that question, let's talk a little bit about your story, your chiropractic story. How did you get into this beautiful profession? And just to let you know, your friends, family, colleagues, all the WDC gals are going to listen to this. So maybe it's a reintroducing yourself to everyone today.
Awesome. Yeah. So I love this story. My dad tells this story because when I was 5 years old, we were going around the room and I want to be a fireman. I want to be a policeman. I want to be a detective, right? Everybody, all the kiddos say what they wanted to be. And my answer to that question is, I want to make people feel good. My dad was just like, you've got to be kidding me. From day one, I've always known that there was a way to help people feel good. And then from learning early on that it was from the inside out that you felt good, not from the outside in, was really empowering. I went into massage therapy. I was a personal trainer. I worked in physical therapy. And then I found chiropractic. And it was like, what? This is amazing. And so I added all of those tools together and opened my practice. And the rest is history.
Wow, that's really, it's powerful to know that, you had such a path before chiropractic. And then you realized that chiropractic was the part that brought it all together.
It is absolutely the center spoke, which is so cool.
So uniqueness. I barely ever ask this question just because everybody's so darn unique, but you have a very interesting story. I know you're like in the background. That's not outside your house. Well, maybe it is now.
Technically right now. So my home is where I park it. So my husband and I dreamed about 5 years ago, we created this plan to sell everything and get an RV and travel the country. And a lot of people dream that. Well, we actually made it happen. So in 2021, I sold my practice to someone with the biggest heart and the most amazing hands. So I'm so grateful that she's got my patients to, taking care of them. And my husband and I have bought an RV and we've been traveling the country now for 14 months. So it's a blast.
So tell us a little bit about the journey. How's it been so far? Where have you gone?
Great. So we started in Florida, and then we went all the way up north to Niagara Falls. Stopped a whole bunch of places in between. We stay each place for about 1 to 2 weeks so that we can really explore the area. And then we went all the way down to the Keys for the winter. We were there for 3 months, and that was lovely. But there's no beaches in the Keys. Did you know that? So that's a problem. So then we got back out of there. We explored a bunch of beaches along the Gulf Coast. And this year we've been doing all music festivals. So we did the Jazz Fest in New Orleans for 2 weekends. We did Forecastle. We did Bonnaroo. We're doing the Austin City Limits Festival later this year, the Jazz Festival in Rhode Island. So we're music festival after music festival is our goal this year. So just a lot of fun.
So not just dreaming to live, living the dream is what you're doing.
Every day. Yeah.
That's really cool. It's really cool to see that you've been able to take the show on the road and still stay functional in your positions.
Yes, it gives me more time, which is really nice. Being able to step out of practice, I feel like I can have a bigger impact on women across chiropractic and on chiropractic in general, and help uplift more people because I have more time in my schedule for that. So even though I'm not touching patients, I feel like the touching I'm doing is helping the ripple effect to help, people across the country. So, but I do miss patient care. I'll tell you that.
So let's talk about that a little bit. The WDC. A lot of people are going to be watching this and they're going to say, "What is this? What is Dr. Michelle and James talking about?" So let's talk a little bit about the WDC and how you got involved with that, and then if other women are out there that are curious to get involved, how they can do that also.
Yeah, so WDC is Women Chiropractors. It's a nonprofit organization that was started about 8 years ago. We became a nonprofit about 5 years ago. And our mission is to uplift, connect, and educate women in chiropractic so that they have a safe place to ask their questions. We have a mentorship levels. So we've got a basic level that anyone can participate in and come and ask questions. We've got about 9,000, 9,500 people in that level. And then we've got the pro level, which is a private Facebook group, which is elevated up so you can truly ask those questions, very private. And then we've got the mentorship level, which is our platinum members. And the platinum members come in, and what they do is they help mentor all the levels below so that everyone gets to move up a level, so to speak. So once you feel like you've made it and you're successful and you want to give back, then you go up a level and you get to give back. It's a really cool system, but it's all nonprofit. We get women on stage across the country. That's one thing I love about Danny Knowles is he's so big on getting women on stage, and we love that. But a lot of other places are struggling for that. So we have a speakers council to help get women on stages. We support women's research. We're supporting Heidi Havoc, Lona Cook, a bunch of amazing doctors out there doing some amazing research. And yeah, just anything female oriented. The difference between women chiropractors and other organizations is we support the woman first, the chiropractor second, because we believe if we know who we are and we can be authentically ourselves, the chiropractic just blossoms and just blooms from that. So it's been fun to be part of this organization.
One of the things you said there that makes me happy is you've put gamification into the process. And what I do know is that people will do more for a game than they will for work. So if you can kind of, I won't say the word trick, but you can nurture them into understanding that they're doing something that's better than work. It will make them more involved. And I do think that's really cool that you promote from within, and that people, once they do hit a certain level of achievement, they can now become the one that brings the next one up. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah. Constantly putting ladders down so people can climb up should they choose. I love that.
Mm-hmm. So I know that you like business and you like chiropractic business. Let's talk some things that you might recommend to some of these women in the group that need some knowledge base and some due grade level stuff. What would you recommend to them to start, getting to the point where they're profitable and they're having fun and they can actually start getting some new patients in the door?
So the key thing you said there, James, is having fun. Because if you don't show up to work as fun, you're not going to be successful, and it's not going to fill up your cup. And even if you make millions of dollars, you're not going to get the joy out of it that it's supposed to get. So the key is to show up as yourself. And when you're talking to patients, be authentically you. Do the things that you want to do in your practice that light you up. And those patients will flood to you that want those things. Don't try to do something that's not you. Don't try to be inauthentic or fit into a box. And just take whatever advice and whatever information you get from others and make it your own so that it's authentically yours. I think that's the biggest piece. And then, of course, put systems in place so it's repeatable and sustainable so that it always happens the same way.
Yeah. And the thing that you said there that makes me want to, just talk a little bit more about it is not making money that isn't fun. And money can be super empty, even if it's in like the 7 figures. If it wasn't fun, how you like brought it across the table, like you have to have fun what you're doing. Otherwise it doesn't matter how much money you have. It's like the old saying that, you're either going to pay for health now or you're going to pay for sickness later. And it's the same way about money. You're either going to enjoy making it now or it'll just go away.
Right. Spending it is never as much fun as making it if you're making it doing what you love.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about you. You're on the road now. What are you doing to take care of yourself and how are you staying healthy?
Oh my gosh. Well, just yesterday, was it yesterday? Sunday. So Sunday we walked 11 miles. So we walk all over the place. We will take our bikes where we can, but a lot of these places don't have bike trails. So we walk and walk and walk. And my husband and I, it's our favorite thing. We walk. So, on an average day, we're walking between 10 and 12 miles a day, which is so much fun, and exploring. And then I stop off at a lot of chiropractic offices to get to know them. And then, of course, I'm delighted to pay them for an adjustment. So that's how I'm getting tuned up. We have a chiropractic table here in the camper with us that comes everywhere. So I take care of my husband, so he doesn't have to worry about that. He's got, live-in chiropractor. I've got a live-in chef. He's got a live-in chiropractor. So, and again, I think just filling your cup with happy, it fixes the body. It fixes pretty much everything. So
yeah, it hits all those neuroreceptors, all the good ones. So when you had your office for 15 years, what was your favorite way to stay plugged into your local community?
Oh my goodness. So I helped run the Women Chiropractic Association in Colorado, in Denver. And then, so plugging into chiropractors was easy because we always had chiropractors coming and shadowing at the office or, doing a happy hour afterwards. There's a lot of leaders in Denver that, created an environment for a chiropractic community, which is lovely. And outside of that, I was always part of some charity, and I always plugged in and just kind of showed up and gave back, like whatever it looked like. I prefer to give my time rather than my money because I feel like it has more meaning. And then, to be honest, I get a little more out of it because spending time with others really lights me up. So I did a lot of that. Again, it's so funny when I look back. Growing up, I never really connected with women, but after chiropractic school, pretty much my entire profession has revolved around being around women that are actually adults and grown up and not backstabbing and all the things I thought women were growing up. And it's been so nice. So now that I look back at my profession and my professional years, it's like women's organization after women's organization after women's organization. And I never would have thought that in high school. I would have thought, women, but now it's just like, wow, we can be adults and grow up and support each other. So that's really cool.
You've made it to Chirohustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is sponsored by Imaging Services, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Moguls, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, New Patients in a Box, the Influencer Authority Podcast Training, Mango Voice, Community Healthcare Resources, Life Chiropractic College West. Let's hustle. Yeah, I think the local thing is really important. I always recommend somebody that's new in a town is to reach out to a local chiropractor, like colleague, and take them to lunch and realize that you're more like each other than you are different. And you're going to learn something about them, possibly be a good referral system back and forth. And it's not a competition, or it's not a um, something to stay away from. I think that you like nailed it. You're like, I bring people together that do the same thing and let them know it's okay to hang out.
Oh, and you can learn so much from each other, like you said, for sure. And knowing that you're not a lone wolf or on an island is so powerful, because you're much more likely to take risks when you have a support system around you. Right. So, and those risks are really what it takes to take your business to the next level. And I had, gosh, probably 15 chiropractors in my little referral Rolodex. And, we'd ask the questions of the new patient. If they weren't a fit for our office, that's great. They're a fit for one of these 3 chiropractors down the street that are amazing. So yeah, always work together with the other docs in your area. You'll be amazed at how much it explodes your practice.
Yeah, something I have noticed after interviewing over 1,000 chiropractors is there's a lot of jealousy and ego, and about like someone else like communicating with them even in the same town. So I think it's really healthy that we're having this conversation about it's okay to make friends with a chiropractor in your community if you're a chiropractor.
Yeah, it's more than okay. I mean, there's a reason that all the fast food places open up next to other fast food places. All the car dealerships are in the same area. There's a reason for that, right? It's because when people come to an area, they expect to have an experience. And if you have lots of those varieties, it's just going to bring more and more and more people to your area and expect that experience. So when chiropractors get together, there's actually one group, and maybe you know this, it's a warehouse in northern Denver. And they've got like 12 chiropractors in there, and they all do different things, and they're all thriving. Like, anyway, I just love that.
No, that's my first time hearing about that.
Yeah, it's not competition at all.
What's do you remember the name of this place?
Bloom, maybe. I can't remember. I'm sorry.
Just message me later.
I will.
So yeah, I think it's really cool. 12 chiros in one building, all practicing different stuff. And here's my point. This is the takeaway. I've never met a chiropractor that could adjust themselves.
So true.
So it's important not to just like get your random adjustment when you go to your CE seminar.
No. Once every 6 months by someone who doesn't know your body at all. That's a great idea.
But you went to college with, though.
Right. And you've been drinking all the things.
But you know them. But anyways. Yeah, this is a fun conversation with you today. Let's future pace a bit. I know that this is probably a big question that it's hard to really answer, but let's just chunk it down a little bit better. What's going to happen in chiropractic over the next 5 years?
Well, you've got the crystal ball in your hand. You're the one that has to tell me. I think a lot of it, again, obviously we don't know the future, but we can still influence it from right now, which is lovely. I think the more we work together and the more we have a cohesive voice, even if we allow a myriad of different ways of practicing, if we have a cohesive voice that what we're in it for is similar, which is, releasing the potential of the human and helping them see the opportunities that they can grasp moving forward in their life. And I think if chiropractic steps into that and shares that message, as opposed to neck pain, back pain, foot pain, because all of those are short-lived and temporary relationships. Instead, if we talk about the ongoing deeper relationship that we have. I mean, most of my patients, they didn't leave 15 years and they never left. And it wasn't because they still hurt, because none of them hurt after 5 visits or whatever it was. So, I think chiropractic has the ability to step in. And right now, I think a lot of people are looking for other alternatives. They don't want the opioids. They don't want, pain killing that way. And then they also want to get off the hamster wheel. And one thing chiropractic is great for is opening the mind. And those little bits of pieces of information that the chiropractor drops for their patients as they go through their experience in chiropractic can change lives pretty big. So I think there's a big piece there. I don't see chiropractic ever being at the forefront, and I'm not sure we want to be, because then legislation comes in really heavy when you get to the forefront. So I don't know. It's a great question. I know where I'd like it to be, but I don't know where it's going.
Well, you said some important things there that I've made note of, and sharing a cohesive message, I think is really important.
Yeah.
And like I've heard this time and time again, and people are like, well, if you go to a dentist, you know the process that they're going to do, and you don't have to like call up the dentist and ask them what type of a dental practice they run. Like you know that if you go to the dentist, they're going to do a handful of things. They're going to follow certain procedures, and the next thing you know, they're going to tell you what's going on and how they can help you. And you never, bat an eye at how they bill you, and you're happy to pay, and you might not like the procedures. And that's kind of like in any medical like performance, like we don't always like what happens, but we know that it's helpful to us. And if we could just systemize and be more cohesive on the practice style, that would help the public appeal a lot better. And you are right. Also, people are looking for something new. They're looking for something. And I think that most people kind of get the idea that they have to like go for an 11-mile walk, or they have to like go do 75 hard, or they have to go to a spinning class, or go to the gym, or they have to do something. But the thing that I think most people don't really take in consideration is recovery. We never talk about recovery. And I think chiropractic is like one of those things that really positions people for recovery. You coming from a PT background, you coming from a massage therapy background, those things are recovery. And the thing is that really the taking care of yourself is the like inexpensive part. The recovery part's the one that you have to invest in. And I talked to my friend this morning. I go to the gym with him. I'm like, look, man, people can get away without recovery from like their teens and 20s and 30s. But when you like hit that like 40-year-old milestone, like you better have like a savings account just for recovery, and you have to invest in yourself. And I think that that's something that we need to talk about more of what chiropractic does. It helps people recover. And as we know, the dogma that's been, force fed into people's lives, that they're all sick and they need like intervention. Like there's never been the talk of how to stay healthy and what to do for recovery. And I think right now we have an above Atlas subluxation with people that they're just messed up. They're all mixed up in their thoughts and emotions, and they need something to help them with recovery. And it really does. It chills out people's parasympathetics. It chills out people's nervous system, like firing off into pain response, and it makes people healthy. And I think that that's a part that we really need to like focus on as we develop as a chiropractic profession, is that chiropractic is the number one recovery plan for people that just want to retain and maintain quality of life.
Yeah, I agree. And I haven't heard it called recovery before. I like that framing that you put around it. I always think of it as, practice makes permanent, right? So if you practice firing your serotonin and dopamine and your happy chemicals, your body gets more and more and more and more effective at releasing the happy chemicals, right? But if you practice firing the cortisol chemicals and the stress hormones, your body gets better and better at that. So practice makes permanent. And chiropractic repeatedly releases serotonin and dopamine and down regulates all of the stress hormones. So anytime you get adjusted, you immediately adapt better to stress, right? And who doesn't need that? Who doesn't have stress in their life, right? Who doesn't need help releasing serotonin and dopamine so they can start releasing it more on their own, right? That's the cool part about chiropractic, is then it creates a sustainability that's ongoing. It's not just an effect during the adjustment, but it trains the body to start looking for the good in life. It trains it. It's so cool. And I wish people could see that in that cohesive message of, lower your stress, better deal with the adaptations needed in your life, and just have a better life. I mean, yoga is kind of talked about that, right? Meditating's kind of talked about that, but chiropractic is just such a big piece of that piece. I don't know.
Yeah. And here's the thing is most people don't know where to go or who to trust for their healthcare needs. Right. And what happens is they trust the wrong people eventually, or the wrong system eventually. and they could have had a great relationship with the local chiropractor in their community that could talk to them about diet, nutrition, exercise, all the things about creating a healthy lifestyle. And then the chiropractic adjustment's a part of that. And then the relationship with a practitioner that you can know, like, and trust, which eventually becomes a know, love, and trust, and then becomes a life-changing relationship because now you're gonna, refer in your friends and family, and your kids are going to get adjusted. You're going to eventually talk, sense to the person that you're in a relationship with. They finally come in and get the big idea. And I think that that's really the magic of what a chiropractic lifestyle is most of the time people come in because they have something going on or they want to get through something, some health related. But what they don't realize on the other side of it is they build an amazing relationship with somebody that's going to be an advocate for all of their needs.
And then being able to, like you said, refer your friends and family, because then and we know this happens, right? We'll get uplifted. Like, for instance, you go to an amazing seminar, you get uplifted, but you didn't bring your team. And so then you get pulled back down afterwards, right? Same thing happens with the adjustment. If everyone around you is getting adjusted, then everyone is slowly being uplifted with you. You just get healthier and healthier. Your community gets healthier and healthier. And you don't go home and be with a bunch of subluxated human beings that drag you back down again. So I just think that what you said was just so important, to make sure that everyone's in there and everyone's getting uplifted and not just you.
Well, that takes me to a James Sigafus quote. He would say, "Why would you come here to get healthy and leave the rest of your family home to be sick?" I think that that's a really important thing to anchor down on. Like, chiropractic's for everybody. And I think that when people understand that, they just want a quality of life. And, in the insurance world, we're like, does it improve activities of daily living? Yes. Yep.
Yes, it does.
As a matter of fact, it does. It does. So let's turn back to you a little bit more. I know we've been talking a lot, big concept here, but who are some of the people that helped nurture you into who you are today? It doesn't have to be just chiropractic, but who are some people that have helped get you to where you are today?
Number one is my sister, and she's not someone people know, right? She's not famous or any of those things, but she always believed in me, and no matter what happened in my life and whatever dreams I had, she would always hold them for me and support them and hold them up so that I knew I could take big risks. And my dad did that as well, which is amazing. And as far as chiropractic, the first chiropractor I met ever, his name's Dr. Aaron Kep, and he's in Fort Collins. And the reason I became a chiropractor is because of the big grin on his face the entire time he was working, the day I shadowed his office. I thought, oh my gosh, this guy loves his job. He loves going to work. When's the last time you met someone who loves going to work? Like, truly loves going to work. And that's what I wanted for my future. So he was a big impact on me for chiropractic, just because he's just such a happy guy all the time. And so I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And it's because he gets adjusted, and it's because he gets to give that to others and uplift them.
Mm. Well, it sounds like you might be your own miracle story. But this is a segment where I'm really curious to ask all practitioners when we do the Chirohustle interviews is, what's a miracle story you've seen over the time you've been in practice, and maybe something that will inspire other people that will listen to this episode?
Oh my gosh. There's so many, right? I mean, the cool part about being a chiropractor is the miracles happen all day, every day. But my very, very favorite miracles are the ones that happen that are subtle enough that, you get the adjusted, stands up out of a wheelchair. I had a couple of those. Those are lovely. Those patients never left because they kept reminding me, remember, you got me out of that wheelchair. I'm like, yeah, whatever. But the cool part, the best part about chiropractic is when their mind changes and they realize they can have better things in their life than they have selected thus far. And they start seeing the opportunities for things. When patients start going on vacations they were always scared to take. When patients get out of relationships that were not serving them, or they try for that big job because they know someone is cheerleading for them, even if it's only 15 minutes once a week, someone's cheerleading for them and holding them up, that release of serotonin and dopamine creates an environment where you can take bigger risks because you feel safe. And that safety and stability that I think chiropractic puts into people's lives, I think is what allows them to get off the hamster wheel if they want to get off the hamster wheel and take those big chances. I could tell you all kinds of stories about women who, one in particular, frozen shoulder, three rib adjustments and some spinal adjustments, and she's able to reach her arm all the way over her head and grab the platter that she wanted to use for her daughter's wedding. I could tell you those stories all day long, but the coolest ones are when the mind changes and the people's lives then shift because they see opportunities they didn't see before. And I think that's the key. You mentioned all the things chiropractors do, and you said, and the adjustment is part of that. And it absolutely is. You have to get adjusted. You have to get them adjusted, yes. But it's the other things, it's the conversation, it's the love, and it's the intention that comes into that relationship that I think helps to shift all of that so that you can have those miracle stories. Getting women pregnant. I had 16 women get pregnant in 1 year in my office. And I was like, that's weird. I'm a woman. I'm getting people pregnant. And of course, it wasn't me. It was the body doing it. But, getting the body out of its way, reducing the stress hormones so that the body felt safe to have a baby. Like, that's just so cool. Like, that stuff's amazing. But I like it when it changes this as well as the rest.
I love this conversation today. I thank you so much for being our guest. Episode 421 of the Chiro Hustle podcast.
Wow, you're a rock star.
it was just due time that we actually got this going, and we didn't even get a chance to talk about your podcasting and things that you do. But I thought it was really a powerful opportunity for us to share your story to our audience today. At this juncture, I do want to thank you. But is there anything that we didn't ask you today that you'd like to share with our audience before we call it a day?
No, I think the big takeaway is we're all in this together, and we're better when we are together. So find your tribe, find your network, plug in, and get other chiropractors around you so that you have the love and support that you need. We're always better together. That's all.
And if people want to join or support the WDC group, where do we send them to?
They go to womenchiropractors.org because we are a nonprofit. So womenchiropractors.org.
All right, Dr. Michelle Wendling, thank you for giving us some of your time today. Once again, this is episode 421 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. Thank you for being our guest today.
Thank you, James. This is so much fun. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye for now.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.